Since this is the first time you've met me, I suppose I should introduce myself. I don't know who I am, but I named myself Fool because that's the first thing I remember. Not knowing where I was, I started to look around. This strange world stretched far and wide. The snowy hills gave way to sprawling towers of ice. I encountered curiosities I dare not explore or tangle with. And then, some curiosities found me. As I wandered, so did my mind. The questions of who I was didn't seem to trouble me. I would find out along the way. It was the question of where I was that gripped me. All I had on my person was a small green book. I hadn't noticed at first, but when I stopped and opened it, the pages flipped to life. They revealed blueprints for a wooden crafting table. To my surprise, I easily found wood from a nearby tree that curiously hovered to watch me tinker rather than crash to the ground. Once my hands were placed upon the crafting table, the magic book's pages filled itself with even more recipes. I was amazed to find I could rapidly make all manner of things in no time at all, and in turn, the new items caused the book to flutter as one page was filled by an invisible pen before turning to the next blank page. And so it was I had my first pickaxe and shovel. I found myself being lost in the power of the green pages, so much so that I lost track of time, and before I knew it, the moon was illuminating the tree I was nestled in. The night was just as breathtaking as the day, although it did mean that things could sneak up on you. I soon learned that there were things here that you did not want to sneak up on you, and there were a lot of them. The strange creatures of the night were frightful and aggressive. They chased me and I ran, and when I couldn't run, I hid, or at least I tried to. My attempts to barricade myself into the little hole I had dug were in vain, as a vile skeleton followed me in, and I was helpless as the creature pelted me with 3 arrows. And, just like that, I was slain. But if that was all that happened, I wouldn't be here to tell you the rest of the story. I found myself falling again. I was still alive, and although I had lost everything else, with me in my pocket was that little green book. Once I knew my fate should I fall victim to dire peril, my perspective shifted. I wasn't living to survive. I was living to live. This time after landing, the forest was peaceful enough that I could gather some wood before digging out a little hovel into the side of a small hole in the earth. As I was digging, I encountered rock that couldn't be shifted with bare fists. When my fresh wooden pick dislodged some of the stone, the excited book revealed a number of useful recipes, including stone tools and a furnace. That would have to wait for later, as soon the sun was shining. Upon leaving the hovel, a vein of what I found out was coal greeted me. The magic book danced in my pocket as I collected the new mineral, but that too I could read about later. However, coal wasn't the only thing to be released from the vein. Shimmering balls of technicolor flowed into my being, and I felt a surge of magical energy, which the book appeared to enjoy as well. As I set off for the day's travel, a stray zombie lurched towards me. The initial pang of fear soon gave way to relief as, in the bathe of the sun, the monster was set ablaze and soon fell. It dropped some rotten flesh, which I decided to keep, and it made me wonder what the other monsters might drop at their demise. The allure of new things to mine and collect somewhat strayed me off my path. A colourful mineral embedded in the stone caught my eye. The wooden pick felt flimsy against the mineral, and I left what I had mined as nothing more than shredded dust. I wondered whether a stone pick would do any better. Once I had the new stone pickaxe in my hand, the magic book did something it had not done so far. On its pages appeared a recipe for torches. From what I had seen, I thought that the book was conjuring blueprints for things when it encountered the base ingredients. But this seemed more like a suggestion, almost as if the book were alive. It hovered above my hands, and I considered what the nature of this magic tome really was. It didn't seem right to treat it as an inanimate object, and so, from that moment on, I named the magic little book Nellie. When night started to fall on the second day, I preemptively looked for shelter, not wanting to get caught by nasty monsters. The area seemed oddly familiar, and I soon found the pitiful door from my first encounter with the creatures of the night. After fortifying the entrance, I found that all my equipment was laying where I was slain. I'd not expected to get my first pickaxe back. This time, I made efforts to make my hidey hole cosier and more functional. Once I'd placed a furnace down and laid my hands upon it, Nellie told me what I could use it for. I used the night to smelt the colourful copper ore and some iron ore I'd found into usable metals. Nellie gave me plenty of options for crafting with iron, and I decided to use the small amount I had to make a set of shears. I was getting used to finding straggling monsters in the morning, and this time I was ready, for shears weren't the only thing I'd made overnight. The flaming beast fell with a single swing of my sword, and with it some more of those magic balls of light that surged into me. I felt like I was getting the hang of this. I was so wet from the rain I hardly felt a difference when I fell into the river, but Nellie certainly did, because after shaking herself dry, she suggested a recipe to make a boat. Still, the weather hadn't dampened my curiosity, as I dug up a deposit of clay in a pond and found that my shears worked fantastically to harmlessly gather wool from the sheep I met. I was amazed when a very generous sheep grew its wool back in front of my eyes after munching on some grass. I finally dragged myself away from the lucrative plains to continue my journey. That night, in the next hidey hole, I slept in a comfortable bed made from sheep wool, lit with a torch provided by Nellie, who had foreseen the stone pick being used to delve into darker places. On my travels, I sustained a few minor injuries. I was soon better, but sensed the echo of hunger and realised I'd need to find something to eat sooner rather than later. Fortunately, I ran across some pumpkins, and Nellie's pages explained that I could combine the eggs and sugar I'd also picked up in the grassy plains to make pumpkin pie. Thanks, Nellie. I travelled along lazy rivers and ascended stony mountains, marched through thick jungles and sailed across the sea. Day after day, hidey hole after hidey hole, through rain and fog, I journeyed on, until I reached what seemed like the end of the world. With nowhere left to walk, it was here that I decided to make my home. As cosy as the hidey holes had been, it was comforting to have somewhere to put down roots. So that's what led me here. Since arriving, I wrote down all that had happened to me in Nellie's pages, but moments after finishing a sentence, the words disappeared. Perhaps she didn't want me vandalising her pages, or it was a gentle reminder to keep looking forward. And it seems no matter what I do, I'm staying. So, I better figure out what I'm going to do next. I last played Minecraft in the COVID lockdown 2021, I think. Any updates since then are pretty much completely new to me, and I'm trying to avoid looking things up. As this is episode 1, a bit of housekeeping. The settings I'm playing with are pretty much default, except playing on hard mode. There's no mods, but I am using BSL shaders. My computer's doing alright, but I sometimes have to tweak the video settings to stop the FPS dropping too low. The skin I'm using is called Adventurer, made by Nullify 8225, and I'm using a few images made by Dall-E too. Sometimes I zoom in so you can't see the barcode. In the future I'll put the music in the credits, but this time I use C418's Minecraft score with a few original licks here and there. And finally, if you didn't know, the game is Minecraft, and this series is called Fool's Journal. I hope you enjoy.